Well, shares of Walmart have been under pressure today, although the decline has eased somewhat. The giant retailer beat first quarter earnings estimates, but fell short of sales expectations. And the company warned that consumers may soon start to see higher prices later this month because of tariffs. Joining us now is Ross Gerber, President and CEO of Gerber Kawasaki. Ross, thanks a lot for joining us. This stock, as we know, has been a star performer for a couple of years now, gets all kinds of praise for execution, and the shares itself are highly regarded by people in your world. What do you make of this forecast for higher prices on Walmart shelves?
Yeah, we're owners of Walmart in my fund GK, and are very bullish on Walmart, and they've been executing really well. Management is really good. And they're basically telling you exactly what's happening, because we look at Walmart as almost like a economic indicator for the United States. So we saw same-store sales up 4.5%. So you can see the economy in the United States is still chugging along pretty good, but they've been starting to raise prices in things like bananas, for example, which went up about 9% in the quarter. And so they're sort of saying, hey, look, this is coming and it's going to happen and it's going to affect consumers. And Walmart is still the best choice for consumers when prices go higher. But if Walmart's raising prices, that means that's happening across the whole economy.
The stock opened about 4% down today and then has climbed to the point where it's only down about half a percentage point. What are your thoughts on that? Is that telling us something? Is that telling us that buyers were quick to step in here this morning?
Well, we don't try to analyze daily movements in the stock market, but what it does show is that Walmart is actually the alternative people choose when prices go higher because of such competitive pricing, and it's the local sort of shopping and center of a lot of communities. So Walmart actually benefits from this environment, just like Costco, where consumer discretionary companies that cater to more middle and higher end consumers have more impact from higher prices. So we expect actually this to be pretty good for Walmart, and that's why we're very bullish on it. So you're seeing investors buy any dip in Walmart.
Let's move to the big name tech stocks. There is a Bloomberg Mag 7 index that I'm looking at right on my screen right now, and it's rallied along with the rest of the broader market, perhaps driving, of course, the broader market since the middle portion of April. And this has come as investors have looked at and assessed earnings from the big tech giants. What's your view of those earnings?
Well, I mean, it varies a little bit between companies, but many of the companies reported very, very strong earnings, including Microsoft, for example, and Nvidia is yet to report. We expect good earnings from them, and Netflix as well, incredible numbers. So we're seeing still lots of good numbers. Even like Google had good numbers. People are pretty concerned about Google's future with AI, but when you look at the Mag 7, they literally print money, and that continues to go on. But they're also uniquely vulnerable to the trade war or crisis or whatever you want to call it, because they all have multi-international operations that are affected by all this sort of whipsawing that's going on in the government. So companies like Apple seem to be in Trump's crosshairs a little bit. And so, the Mag 7 is really a tale of many stories or tale of many cities, because they're all kind of have a different path depending on what they do.
Nvidia has yet to report. What would you be looking for there?
Well, other than the charges they might take for some of the tariff-related changes with chips in China, we expect great numbers from them. And the spending continues on GPUs, and Nvidia's position and continues to position themselves as the leader in building out AI data infrastructure. We're seeing, XAI investing a ton of money, Microsoft, and now the sovereign wealth funds like in Saudi Arabia this week, making big commitments to buying and building clusters of Nvidia GPUs. So, there is no other player in the market that really creates the brains that run AI. And so NVIDIA's got a great future, and it's one of our top holdings.
Okay, let's go to some stocks you like. One of them is Genius Sports, ticker symbol GENI on the New York Stock Exchange. Tell us about this company and why you like the stock.
Well, we like Genius because they're in the sports gambling business. They're the data provider for the NFL, Premier League, March Madness, and many other sports properties. And they've used this data, and they get a cut of the revenue from the online gambling companies, which are growing very fast, whether it be DraftKings or FanDuel. And, Genius is now in this ad tech business where they're taking the same data and helping advertisers get more leverage with the dollars they're spending on sports advertising. And this is a huge business because sports is really where all the advertising's at. But as you can tell with the playoffs, like for the NBA, the difference between a game that's close and a game that is a 20-point blowout has a big impact on whether advertisers are getting the real bang for their dollar. And that's the kind of technology Genius is building and implementing that will help advertisers better get their ads in at moments in the game, and people will pay for this where it really matters and the eyeballs are really watching. So we're really liking this sort of small cap company. It's around $10 a share, and we think it has a lot of potential, and they just turned profitable.
Okay, we get a certain amount of calls on this channel from viewers on portfolio managers' views of GE Verona, and that's another stock you like.
Yeah, we've been buying GE Verona. It's not the cheapest stock out there, but when GE broke up, this was an interesting part of GE because it's really their energy division, and especially clean energy. They make turbines and things that really are crucial for building out energy infrastructure globally. And there's really no competition for GE Verona's products because they're so expensive and big, and really it would take a ton of money to become a competitor. And so GE's in a great position as we build out AI infrastructure, crypto infrastructure, electric vehicles. Everything's built around the electric future, not the oil and gas future. And that's where GE Verona really shines, because if you're going to increase electrical capacity, you're going to be calling GE Verona, and the demand is enormous for their products.
Okay, yeah, the final stock we'd like to touch on, another one you like, Axon Enterprises on the NASDAQ, AXON.
Yeah, we added it in the correction. We picked up a quick 30%, so it's not cheap anymore. And we were really happy to get it, down at 600 just a few weeks ago, actually, in our fund GK. And, Axon makes body cameras for the police and other, sort of military and prisons. But what they've added is AI. And so police reports and incidents reports can now be written from the actual audio that's being recorded during incidences that the police are having. And this is an incredible efficiency for police that end up spending a lot of time doing reports when they have crimes that they, stop. And so this is one area that Axon's growing in, that as they continue to have a monopoly in the body camera business for police. So then the other area is also working with now military and anti-drone technology, because as we've seen, drones have become a big part of the military and also policing, and they're involved with that business as well. But because of their superior position and working with all these police forces for so long, they really continue to implement technologies that have made policing incredibly more efficient and better for society, because we have documentation of everything that's happening when these incidences do happen.
Ross, thank you very much for a great conversation. That's Ross Gerber, President and Chief Executive Officer of Gerber Kawasaki.